Why is one of your suitcases missing? That was the first thing she asked after walking through the door in her tight black dress, heels still in her hand, and makeup slightly smudged from, well, not from partying. She didn't notice the letter on the TV stand until I pointed. No, don't touch it yet, I said. Read it when I'm gone. Her eyes flicked toward it, my handwriting folded once, with her name across the front like a funeral invitation. The silence that filled the room was thicker than the perfume trailing behind her. It was the same perfume I hadn't smelled in 2 years. She only wore it when she wanted to impress someone who wasn't me. It's from last night, isn't it? I asked. The birthday party. She didn't answer. Of course she didn't. That would have required some kind of respect. She glanced toward the door like she wanted to bolt. No, I said again, calm as I could. You're going to hear me out first. I didn't yell. I never do. I just talk too much and then apologize for it. Classic me. Always the one trying to smooth things over with people who enjoy the mess. You remember when we first moved in here? I asked her. That ugly blue couch? How we said we'd never lie to each other on it. Still no answer. Just the sound of her jaw tightening. I was home on Thursday. You said it was Camille's birthday. You said not to wait up. I paused. She didn't even blink. Maybe that was her way of begging me not to say more. But you didn't know I saw the Uber receipt, did you? Or that I called Camille? Or that she laughed, because she hasn't spoken to you in months. The letter was burning on the stand now. Not literally, but I could feel it between us like a live wire. I followed you, Mel. Not far. Just far enough to see you walk into the Longacre Hotel. Room 617. That number still makes my stomach turn. I waited outside in the car. For hours. You left at 2:27 a.m. You weren't walking like someone who danced all night. You were floating like someone who got what she wanted. Finally, her lips parted. Ellis, no. I cut her off. Don't you dare say you were going to tell me. Because that would have been the first honest thing you said in over a year, and I know you're not about to start now. She took one step toward me. I stepped back. Take your time with the letter. Really? It's not poetic or anything. It's just every single thing I've held in since the moment I realized I was living with a stranger. She looked down at the envelope like it might bite her. Then she looked back at me. And for the first time in years, she looked scared. I took Herman's leash. Yeah. I brought the dog and opened the door. You don't need to chase me, I told her. He will. I didn't look back when the door clicked shut. But I heard her voice. Not crying. Not calling out. Just a whisper. He's married. I froze. I turned, just slightly, not even sure if I'd heard her right. She was standing there with both hands over her mouth. The color had drained from her face. And that was the moment I knew I wasn't just leaving a cheating wife behind. I was about to be pulled into a mess much darker, much louder, and way more public than I ever expected. Because the man she cheated with, his wife was about to blow it all up. And I would be the one caught in the blast. The hallway outside our apartment felt colder than usual. I hadn't planned on staying long. I just needed to leave. Make a statement. Let her read the letter alone. That was supposed to be it. But when she whispered, he's married, it pulled me back like a hook through my chest. I turned slowly, holding Herman's leash tighter than I needed to. She was still frozen near the TV, the letter unopened in her hand now. And her eyes, those eyes that used to sparkle when she talked about anything, even stupid stuff like wind chimes or breakfast burritos, were flat. Drained. Whose wife? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she sat down on the couch like her legs gave out beneath her. Her hands were shaking now. You said he's married, I repeated. Tell me who he is. I can't, she mumbled. It's worse than you think, Ellis. Just go. Worse than you sneaking off to a hotel while I was at home rearranging the bookshelf like an idiot because I thought we'd read together that night? I couldn't help it. The words came out sharper than I intended. She looked up at me, and for the first time in forever, I saw something close to guilt on her face. Please, Ellis, she said quietly. If you get involved now, it won't just hurt us. You don't know what she's capable of. Melissa didn't speak. She just pressed her fingers into her temples and breathed like the walls were closing in. And that's when it hit me. I walked over to the drawer next to the TV, the drawer she always used to stash junk. Receipts, phone chargers, takeout menus, and sometimes hotel key cards. She thought I didn't know. I always knew. I dug. And there it was. A room card. Longacre Suites. 617. The name printed at the bottom. Guest of S. Carmichael. Carmichael. That stopped me cold. There's only one Carmichael I knew, and it wasn't a man. It was Savannah Carmichael, a board member at the school district where I work. A powerful woman. Rich. Ruthless. She was married to a guy I'd only met once, Caleb, I think. Quiet type. Wore loafers without socks. The kind of guy who shook hands with both palms like he was trying too hard. Is it her husband? I asked, stunned. Melissa, did you sleep with Savannah Carmichael's husband? She didn't respond. She didn't have to. That one twitch in her mouth was all the confirmation I needed. You cheated on me with the husband of one of the most politically connected people in the city? I whispered. Melissa, what the hell were you thinking? I didn't plan for it to happen. She blurted, finally unraveling. It started as flirting. I didn't even know who he was at first. He was just this guy at the gym. He was funny and different, and he noticed me, and I felt seen. And it was stupid. I know. But once I found out who he was, it was already too late. And you kept going? Her silence said it all. That's when I noticed her phone lighting up on the coffee table. The screen blinked with a name, unknown caller. But beneath it was the preview of the last message. Hope your husband enjoyed the letter. I sent mine something too. Who is that? I asked, already dreading the answer. She knows, Melissa said, her voice barely audible. Savannah. She found out this morning. I think she's retaliating. A long pause. What do you mean, retaliating? I asked. Melissa stood up suddenly, full panic setting in. She unlocked her phone, scrolled through her messages, and then showed me a photo. It was our house. A picture taken from outside the window. Through the blinds. Taken earlier today. And below it, a message. If you won't confess to him, I will. And that's just the beginning. I don't even remember driving to the hotel that night. But somehow, I ended up there again, except this time I wasn't alone. Savannah Carmichael had invited me. Correction, summoned me. But I'll tell you what happened in that hotel lobby and what she handed me in a thick manila envelope. If you think Melissa's betrayal was the worst part, just wait until you see how Savannah plays this game. She's not just angry, she's strategic. And I was about to become her pawn. I had no idea what to wear when your wife's affair partner's wife summons you to a hotel. What does one put on for that kind of disaster? I went with a plain navy sweater. Safe. Non-threatening. Forgettable. I didn't want to show up looking like I had anything figured out, because I didn't. My brain was scattered, and the only thing I could focus on was that photo. Our house. My window. Her message. If you won't confess to him, I will. And that's just the beginning. I didn't text Savannah back. I just drove. The hotel lobby was half empty when I arrived. Some people lounged in suits, sipping overpriced whiskey like their lives weren't falling apart. I scanned the room, trying to spot her Savannah Carmichael, the very picture of upper-tier society, the kind of woman who wore her rage like designer perfume. And there she was, sitting alone in the corner booth of the bar, stirring a glass of something red. Not wine. I don't think Savannah did anything that soft. She waved 2 fingers, and I approached, suddenly feeling like a kid summoned to the principal's office. Only the principal had the power to destroy my entire life. Ellis, she said, nodding like we'd just seen each other yesterday at a fundraiser. Sit. Please. I obeyed. Like a puppy. I assume Melissa told you, she began. Told me that you know? Yeah. No, she said, taking a sip. Told you that I warned her to end it 2 months ago. I blinked. What? She never mentioned that part? Huh? Savannah smirked. Of course she didn't. I found out early. Caleb's an idiot. Password reuse, poorly hidden hotel bookings, dumb texts. It didn't take long. I confronted her. Gave her a chance to walk away. She didn't. My chest tightened. Why didn't you tell me then? Because I didn't care about you. Yet. That landed like a slap, but she didn't mean it cruelly. She meant it strategically. Savannah reached into her purse and slid a thick envelope across the table. What's this? Proof. In case you need it for legal purposes. Don't worry, it's clean. No nudity. No recordings. Just messages, statements, hotel confirmations, and one notarized affidavit from a hotel clerk I paid very well. I didn't touch the envelope. I just stared at it like it had venom inside. And why are you giving this to me now? I asked. What do you want? She leaned forward. To ruin them. Both. But not with screaming. Not with scandal. I want slow destruction. Social, professional, reputational. The kind that starts with whispers and ends in silence. I said nothing. I just looked at her, trying to understand what kind of grief turned into this much precision. I've seen you at those district meetings, she said. Quiet. Polite. Doesn't rock the boat. You're exactly the kind of man people underestimate. That's useful to me. But you have to want this. You have to want to stop being the punchline of their little affair. I swallowed hard. And if I don't? Then walk out. Take your dog. Cry it out in a motel like a sad country song. But if you do want justice, and not just pity, then listen to what I have planned. She opened her tablet. There was a file already pulled up titled Operation Orchestra. Yes, she gave it a name. It was detailed, calculated. It included public events, school board meetings, community fundraisers, and a timeline that would end with her husband losing his job and Melissa being exposed for manipulating PDA funds at the school she volunteered at. I didn't even know she had access to that. Apparently, she did. Apparently, Savannah knew everything. This is insane, I whispered. This is war. She smiled. Ellis, they declared war when they treated you and me like background noise. I'm just responding with choreography. I wanted to walk away. I wanted to be better than this. But instead, I picked up the envelope and asked, "What do you need me to do first?" Savannah's eyes sparkled like she'd been waiting for that moment. She pulled out a single photo and placed it on top of the table. It was of Caleb and Melissa at a private networking dinner, holding hands under the table. And sitting 2 feet away? My boss. They're stupid, Savannah said. Let's use that. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of guilt, because of clarity. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, I felt like I wasn't drifting anymore. I had a direction, but things were about to move fast. Because Savannah had already sent an anonymous letter to the school board. And the next morning, I got a call. From HR. The call came at 8:02 the next morning, 2 minutes after the school district office opened. My phone buzzed once, and I already knew something was off. HR doesn't call before noon unless someone has died or done something they shouldn't have. I answered with a hesitant, "Hello? Ellis, hi. This is Marcy from Human Resources. Do you have a moment to speak privately?" I was still in my car in the parking lot, sipping lukewarm coffee and rereading Savannah's envelope of documents for the 10th time. My stomach dropped so fast I felt dizzy. Yeah, I'm in my car, I said. What's going on? There's been a report filed that indirectly involves your name. We'd like to schedule a quick meeting today, informal, of course. Are you available at 11? I hesitated. Sure, of course. When she hung up, I sat frozen in the driver's seat for another 20 minutes, watching the steam curl out of my paper cup like a warning signal. I wasn't even in trouble, I hadn't done anything, but somehow, I already felt like the accused. And that's the genius of people like Savannah. They don't just drag you into their storm. They hand you an umbrella and make you hold it for them. I walked into work like a ghost. My feet moved. My mouth smiled at coworkers. I even said good morning to Principal Bowers, who was too busy looking at his phone to notice I was unraveling inside. Every noise felt sharper. Every glance felt suspicious. At 10:59, I walked into the HR office, and there was Marcy, smiling like we were about to talk about PTO hours. Don't be nervous, she said as she gestured for me to sit. Spoiler, I was nervous. We received an anonymous tip that a member of the district board may be improperly involved with someone connected to the schools, she said, choosing her words like stepping stones across a minefield. And I asked. She paused. You were mentioned in the report. Not accused. Just named as someone who may have unknowingly been affected. My hands tightened in my lap. Affected? How? She gave me that HR smile, professional, overly empathetic, and absolutely terrifying. There are allegations that PDA funds from Westbridge Elementary may have been redirected to pay for non-school-related expenses. Specifically, hotel rooms. My mouth went dry. Melissa had volunteered there for years. Organized fundraisers, ordered supplies, even picked out the stupid Spirit Week t-shirts. I thought it was her way of giving back. Turns out, it was her way of covering. We're looking into it, Marcy continued. Nothing's confirmed. No names have been formally attached. But we thought it was important you knew. If anyone approaches you, or if you feel uncomfortable in any way, we want you to come to us. I nodded. That's all I did. Nod. Like a good, quiet, dependable guy who would never cause a stir. And as I walked out, I felt like the walls were watching me. The posters of smiling students. The district mission statement. Even the stupid banner in the hallway that said, "Integrity is doing what's right even when no one is watching." I wanted to laugh. Or scream. But I did neither. Instead, I drove straight to Savannah's house. Not her office. Her house. A gated property in the hills with a view so smug it should have paid taxes. I buzzed at the gate, and her assistant let me in without a word. Savannah greeted me in the atrium, wearing black workout gear and holding a smoothie like she was about to do yoga instead of orchestrate reputational warfare. Well, she said, not even pretending to be surprised. That was fast. They called me into HR, I told her. I know, she replied, sipping calmly. I sent the tip? My jaw clenched. You said this would be slow. You said we'd be careful. I am being careful, she said. That wasn't an attack. That was a test balloon. We had to see if the district would take the bait. And if they hadn't? She shrugged. Then I'd escalate. But they did. So now we have momentum. I stared at her, wondering how someone could be so composed while setting fire to everything. You do realize this affects me, too, right? I work there. Which is exactly why they'll tread lightly, Savannah said. You're the sympathetic figure in all this. A loyal husband. A respected teacher. The betrayed party. No one will touch you unless you make them. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew she was right. Melissa and Caleb had turned me into the victim, whether I liked it or not. And Savannah was going to use that to her advantage. What's next? I asked, hating myself for the question. She smiled. Now we put the pressure on Melissa. We leak the real story. Not to the press. Not yet. But to her friends. Her circle. We let them do the damage. I swallowed hard. She'll know it's me. She'll assume, Savannah said. But she won't be able to prove it. And by then, it won't matter. She walked me to the door, handed me a flash drive, and said, everything you need is on there. Photos. Transactions. Enough to break the illusion. Send it to whoever you think will hurt her most. I stared at the drive in my hand. It was so small. So harmless. But I knew the second I plugged it in, there was no going back. I sat in my car outside Savannah's mansion with the flash drive in my pocket for almost an hour. I didn't plug it in. I didn't even take it out of the glove box once I tucked it there. I just sat still, staring out at the street like I was waiting for someone to knock on the window and tell me this was all a big misunderstanding. But no one did. There wasn't going to be a scene with violins or teary confessions. This wasn't the movies. This was the ugly, quiet part of betrayal. When nothing explodes, it just erodes. Eventually, I drove home. Melissa wasn't there. The house was exactly as I'd left it, still, quiet, suffocating. Her coffee mug was in the sink from that morning. A lipstick-stained napkin lay on the hallway table. Our wedding photos still sat on the bookshelf like a lie that refused to fall over on its own. I took the flash drive upstairs, sat at my desk, and finally plugged it into my laptop. Folders popped up one by one. Text _ locks. Expense _ reports. Images. Board _ meeting _ notes. PDA _ funds _ breakdown. Savannah wasn't bluffing. This wasn't messy screenshots and vague accusations. It was organized. Time-stamped. Cold. There was even a spreadsheet comparing the dates of Melissa's hotel stays with Caleb to days she'd claimed reimbursements from school fundraising budgets. Savannah had even highlighted one labeled Science Fair Pizza Night, $4.08 billed. That same night, Melissa and Caleb stayed at a boutique resort an hour away. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. And I knew exactly who I needed to send this to. It wasn't the principal. It wasn't HR. It wasn't even Melissa. It was Lena, Melissa's best friend. Maid of honor at our wedding. PTA board member. Fiercely loyal until she isn't. Lena had always liked me. Told me once, drunkenly at a New Year's party, that Melissa didn't deserve how gentle I was. I thought she was just being kind. No? I was hoping she meant it. I wrote the message 5 times before I sent it. Lena, I'm sorry to drag you into this. I don't know who else to trust. Please open the folder. It will explain everything. I'm not asking for you to take sides. Just see it for yourself. I attached the zipped folder and hit send. Then I shut my laptop and waited. And waited. And waited. 37 minutes later, I got the reply. It wasn't an email. It was a call. I answered with a whisper, hello. Lena was crying. Not sobbing, but that brittle kind of breathless that only happens when someone's been punched in the gut emotionally. Oh my God, Ellis. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I believe you, I said. You were the only one I believed enough to send this to. Ellis, she used my name for one of the hotel receipts. That's identity fraud. She used my info. I didn't know that part. I didn't even see it. I scrolled through the receipts again, and there it was. Hotel Dupree, room 417, booked under Lena M. Prescott. I closed my eyes. Melissa had dragged her friends into this, too. She's coming to the volunteer meeting tonight, Lena said. Everyone's gonna be there. The rest of the board. Parents. Teachers. What do you want me to do? I hesitated. This was it. This was the moment the truth could come out in front of everyone. I didn't want revenge. That's what I kept telling myself. I wanted clarity. Justice. But deep down, yeah, there was a part of me that wanted to watch the lie burn. I want you to bring the truth with you, I said quietly. A flash drive. Show them. All of them. Don't say my name. Don't make it about me. Just let them see who they trusted. Lena didn't respond right away. And then, okay, I'll do it. That night, Melissa came home. Late. A little too late. She walked into the house with that nervous energy people get when they've been blindsided but are pretending everything's normal. Her purse hit the counter with a louder thud than usual. I stayed seated on the couch. I didn't look at her. Hey, she said casually. Everything okay? I nodded once. She hovered by the fridge, then by the sink, then finally came and sat across from me. Did something happen today? She asked. I didn't answer. Her phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, glanced at it, and her entire body stiffened. Why is Lena texting me? She muttered. I let her read it. Whatever Lena wrote, it was long. Melissa's face went pale halfway through. Then she stood up, walked into the kitchen, and vomited in the sink. I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. I just sat there, hands folded, heart beating like a war drum. She came back, wiping her mouth, mascara streaking down one cheek. You sent it to her, she said. You sent everything. I looked her in the eye for the first time in days. No, I said. She blinked. No, I didn't send it to her, I said. I sent it to someone who still thinks truth matters. She tried to speak. Couldn't. And that's when the second message came through. This time from Caleb's wife. Savannah had made her next move. And this time, it wasn't private. It happened during dinner. Not ours, some charity banquet Melissa had agreed to months ago, hosted by the district superintendent's wife. A fundraiser for literacy programs or something noble enough to get everyone in their best outfits and pretend everything in their lives was fine. Melissa had left an hour before, wearing a navy dress I hadn't seen in 2 years. Said she'd only stay for dessert, and that maybe we could talk after. She looked like she was already preparing an apology speech. I didn't ask her what she was sorry for. I was home with Herman, scrolling through an old playlist we'd built together back when we used to burn CDs for each other. Each song made me feel like I was watching someone else's marriage. I almost shut the laptop when a text popped up on my screen. Unknown number. Check the district's Facebook page. Now, my stomach dropped before I even opened the browser. The district's public page, usually filled with photos of bake sales and student awards, was flooded. Not just with comments. With screenshots. Dozens of them. Direct messages. Booking confirmations. Side-by-side photos of Melissa and Caleb at different events, each time standing just a little too close. The most damning one, a cropped shot from the Literacy Committee dinner the year before, where Melissa's hand rested on Caleb's leg under the tablecloth. The caption above the post read, Our children deserve better role models. If this is who represents our district, then it's time for change. Savannah had gone public. Not through news stations. Not through press conferences. Through parents. Within minutes, it spread. Private groups. Alumni forums. WhatsApp chains. TikTok. Reddit threads titled, Westbridge Cheating Scandal. You won't believe who got exposed. Her plan wasn't to blow up the affair in some dramatic showdown. Her plan was to quietly hand the match to people who would burn everything down for her. Melissa hadn't seen it yet. She was probably sipping cheap champagne, thinking she could still salvage her image. And then my phone rang. It was her. I didn't pick up. She called again. And again. Then finally sent a text. What did you do? I didn't respond. Instead, I turned on the TV and muted the sound. I stared at the screen, watching a muted cooking show while message after message lit up my phone like flares in the dark. Melissa, Lena, even a few board members I barely knew. People were panicking. And me? I just sat there. Until the knock came. Not on the front door. On the side. I opened it to find her standing there, heels in her hand, tears streaking her cheeks. She was shaking. You need to fix this, she said, breathless. They're trying to remove me from the board. The parents are circulating a petition. I lost 2 sponsorships in the last hour. Good, I said. Maybe now you'll learn what consequences feel like. She pushed past me into the kitchen, pacing, muttering to herself like someone trying to rewrite the past by reciting it out loud. I didn't think Savannah would actually. She said she'd handle it quietly. I didn't mean for it to get this far. Caleb said she wouldn't risk going public because of his connections. You used your friend's name to book hotel rooms, I interrupted. You stole from the school. And you lied to me for over a year. But sure, let's talk about what you meant. She stopped pacing. Ellis, please. We can fix this. If you just make a statement saying you knew and forgave me, maybe the board. You think I'm going to lie for you? I asked, stepping toward her. After all of this? She folded. Actually folded. Like her spine gave out under the weight of her own guilt. I have nothing left, she whispered. You don't understand what she's capable of. Savannah doesn't just ruin reputations, she erases people. Caleb told me she once tanked an entire business just because the wife flirted with him. If she's coming after me, she won't stop at school stuff. She'll dig. She'll destroy everything. For a moment, I saw her not as my wife, not as the woman who betrayed me, but as someone being hunted. But that moment passed. She warned you, I said. She gave you a chance. You didn't care until it affected your image. She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. Her eyes darted toward the door. What? I asked. I think she's here, Melissa whispered. I looked out the window. A black car had parked across the street. The lights were off, but someone was in the driver's seat. She's watching. I asked. Melissa nodded. She does that. Sometimes she lets you know she's watching. Other times she sends someone else. Someone else? I asked, turning back to her. Who else? She looked terrified now. Caleb. She said if I didn't confess everything to you by last weekend, she'd send him. And he's not just a guy with loafers and secrets. He's worse. The next moment happened so fast I barely understood it. A brick shattered the side window of our living room. Attached to it was a note. It read, "Tell the truth, or the truth will be told for you." I ran outside. But the car was already gone. I didn't sleep that night. Melissa passed out on the couch somewhere around 3 a.m., curled up in a blanket like a child who thought if she stayed small enough, the storm might skip over her. But I couldn't sit still. I kept walking from room to room like something might be missing or already taken. Every creak in the floorboards, every shadow in the hallway felt like another brick waiting to crash through the window. It wasn't fear, exactly. It was exposure, vulnerability, the kind you only feel when the world knows your secrets and you're no longer holding the pen. By morning, the viral post had made it into local news. Not mainstream media. No, Savannah was smarter than that. She let it bleed into the community. Facebook parents, church groups, neighborhood apps. And from there, it crawled into whispers at coffee shops, side-eyes at the gym, gasps outside the school gates. Melissa's face was everywhere, even when it wasn't. People were using her initials. Some were tagging her old posts with sarcastic comments. A few even started speculating on whether I was the dumb husband or the one in on it. That part stung the most. I checked my email, dozens of messages from faculty, board members, even parents of kids I taught. Most were neutral. Some were kind. A few were venomous. Someone said I should resign for being part of the rot. And then there was one email I couldn't ignore. It had no subject line, just a video file. I hesitated for 5 whole minutes before I opened it. The video was grainy. Phone footage. It had clearly been recorded from a distance. At first, all I could see was Melissa standing in a parking lot, pacing beside a car. Then the camera zoomed in just enough to make out the man standing opposite her. Caleb. He was screaming. Not the violent kind of screaming, but the bitter, desperate kind, like a man who'd been cornered for the first time in his life and was now lashing out with everything he had left. The sound quality was rough, but I could make out the words. You were supposed to control him, Caleb shouted. I told you, if you just kept your husband quiet, none of this would have happened. Melissa said something back, too quiet to hear. Then Caleb grabbed her arm. Not rough, not violent, but firm. The person filming gasped audibly. And that's when Caleb looked directly at the camera, like he knew. The video ended there. I didn't know who sent it, but I knew what it meant. Savannah was escalating again. Or Caleb was. Maybe both. It didn't matter. Because now I was on the board too. Not officially, but in their game and their chaos. I walked into the kitchen, where Melissa was quietly scrolling through her phone, her thumb trembling. Who sent it to you? I asked. She didn't answer. I placed my phone down, pressed play, and let her watch the video without looking at her face. She flinched at the moment Caleb grabbed her. Ellis, she said finally, her voice hollow. I think we're being followed. What do you mean? She hesitated. Since 2 days ago. My car's been in different spots when I leave stores. I thought I was imagining things. But last night, when I came home, someone had gone through my glove compartment. Savannah? I asked. No, she said, eyes wide. Savannah's loud when she wants to be. This was someone else. Someone quieter. That was the moment it all began to make sense. The shift in tone, the threats written instead of spoken, the brick with a message but no name. Caleb had stepped out from under Savannah's shadow. And unlike her, he didn't want exposure. He wanted leverage. I pulled out my laptop and checked the security camera I had installed last year, one of those dumb smart home ones I bought on Black Friday and never really used. It only recorded motion. I'd forgotten to even check the footage. Sure enough, the night before, around 1:41 a.m., there was a figure standing at our porch. Black hoodie. Face down. Nothing obvious. But they were holding something in their hand. A phone, maybe. Or a flashlight. They didn't knock. They didn't try to get in. They just stood there. And then walked away. I hit pause and stared at the screen. Then Melissa whispered something I'll never forget. He told me he has something on you. I turned to her. What? She looked terrified. More than before. When we were in the hotel, once, he said, your husband's not as clean as you think. I didn't know what he meant. I thought he was bluffing. I don't have anything to hide. I snapped. I believe you, she said quickly. But Caleb? He makes things up. Builds traps. And if he's desperate, he won't care what's real. I sat down, suddenly lightheaded. Because now it wasn't about exposing the truth anymore. It was about surviving the story someone else was about to tell about me. I'd spent so long being the quiet husband, the forgotten detail, the guy in the background of someone else's betrayal. But now, I was the target. And I wasn't sure Savannah was going to protect me anymore. Not now that I'd served my purpose. It didn't end with a courtroom. Or a fight. Or another shattered window. It ended, unexpectedly, with a conversation in a coffee shop I hadn't stepped into in nearly a year. The same place Melissa and I used to go every Sunday morning before life got complicated and routines got replaced by lies. I picked a corner seat, brought Herman with me, and waited. The message had come from Savannah earlier that morning, short, direct, and unusually calm. One last thing. Meet me at Greystone Cafe. 10 a.m. Come alone. I considered ignoring her. I'd had enough of everyone's power plays. But something about the tone told me this wasn't a threat. It felt like closure. She was already there when I arrived. Black blazer, gold pen in hand. She wasn't drinking anything. Just sitting, staring out the window like she owned the sunrise. When I sat down, she didn't greet me. Just slid a folder across the table. Everything I have on Caleb. Copies, backups, and signed witness statements. I'm done. I blinked. Done. She nodded. You were right. I used you. But I didn't lie to you. Not about what he did. Not about what Melissa covered up. But I was selfish. You didn't deserve to be dragged through my revenge. I opened the folder. It was everything. And something else too. A letter addressed to the District Ethics Committee. Signed by Savannah. She was stepping down from her position on the school board. I'm going to disappear for a while, she said. Let people forget. Let Caleb scramble for control without me cleaning up after him. He's already under investigation. I fed the right evidence to the right hands. And Melissa? I asked. She's going to be okay, Savannah said, somewhat surprising me. People forget. If she apologizes enough, stays out of the spotlight, she'll find her way back to stability. Eventually. I didn't say anything. I didn't feel anger anymore. Just a quiet kind of distance. Like I was watching her from another lifetime. She stood up to leave, but paused. You were never the weak one, Ellis. You just loved someone who didn't know what to do with your strength. And then she walked out. Just like that. 2 days later, Melissa moved out. No yelling. No begging. Just silence and a signed agreement. She said she was going to stay with her sister across the state line. I wished her peace. I meant it. A week after that, the district HR sent me an email. The investigation into the PDA funds had concluded. I was cleared of any suspicion. I kept my job. I kept my students. I kept the small corner of the world I still loved. And the best part? One morning, I woke up and didn't think about her first. I thought about taking Herman to the park. About tuning my old guitar. About making pancakes just because I wanted to. It took time, but eventually, I moved out of that house. I sold it. Used the money to rent a little cabin on the edge of town. Somewhere quiet. Peaceful. Where no one whispered about that teacher whose wife cheated. And a few months after that, I started volunteering with a local nonprofit helping kids with speech challenges. I didn't do it for redemption. I did it because I remembered who I was before all this. And I wanted to find that man again. I did, bit by bit. And somewhere between dog walks, lesson plans, and the smell of fresh coffee without the weight of old memories, I realized something. Melissa's betrayal didn't break me. It freed me. I never heard from Savannah again. Caleb was removed from his board position 6 weeks later after a formal complaint surfaced involving someone else entirely. Melissa sent one final email last month. It was short. No manipulation. No request. Just, "You were the only person who ever showed me grace. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it." I didn't reply. Some things don't need an ending to be over. I found peace in the space where silence used to hurt. And finally, I'm okay. Maybe not perfect. Maybe not whole. But for the first time in years, I feel free.